to know you're still there. It is still AM Live. Now, I'll be introducing what conversation will be ensuing today on the program. Yesterday, February 14, the world celebrated St. Valentine, what's been known now as Valentine's Day, when not just lovers or intending couples, but friends, families decide to take a time out, a day out in every year to appreciate each other. Show that they renew their love to each other, and of course, let the world know that the only key to a better place to live in is love. I had a conversation with Pastor Yomi and Dr. Mrs. Tayo Ajayi. They are both, a happily married couple, of course, and we had a conversation on love. But of course, we focused more on resuscitating and strengthening family values. What with the fact that every other day we find the family units facing challenges, and some succumbing to the pressure of the challenges they've had to face as a unit. And now with understanding that a better family where values are appreciated, where very good values are appreciated, will make for a better nation and of course a better world. We had the conversation on how we can ensure that love and some of the family values can be strengthened, and of course make for the world we really want to see, a beautiful one. I'll let you enjoy the conversation, and of course we call it a wrap afterwards. Thank you very much for staying with us. Where we get to talk about topical issues of family value, national value, of course global relevance. Today we're looking at one which isn't just of maybe national or political as it were, but it is one that a good understanding of it would make for development at the home front and of course at the national front. It's February 14, and every February 14 globally the world gets to celebrate Valentine. At World Love Day, if we could call it that. But then many do not really understand the ideal of Valentine. Some just think, oh, it's a day where we turn up in red and of course get to go for dinners, get to get gifts for loved ones and the rest of it. But in the midst of all of the celebrations, there are strong topics of value that we really should be looking at. Basically for a reorientation of what Valentine should be about and what we should begin to take away from this day. I won't be doing the talking alone, of course. I have with me a couple. They've been married for quite a long time now and they're doing so strong. We're going to be using their life as a focal point for what a family should be like and what love should really be about. They have Pastor Yomi and Dr. Mrs. Tayo Ajayi. Thank you very much for coming on the program this morning. Yes, thank you. And you do look good. It looks like you're proposing to each other again. Marry me, marry me.
It's Valentine. That's
great. Thank you for coming. And now I'm going to start off with, you say, of course, we all know it's a Valentine. It's Valentine. And of course, I should let you know, legend has it that St. Valentine was a martyr. He was celebrating his day. There are different stories around what Valentine is about. But way back the Roman Empire, there had been a man by the name Valentine who had been killed by the brutal Emperor Claudius, who had jailed him because he was conducting marriages for soldiers and the rest of it. But in the midst of being in jail, he had fallen in love with the jailer's daughter, the guardman's daughter, and of course they had written love letters to each other. But eventually he was beheaded on February 14, and the reason we celebrate, one of the reasons today is designated as Valentine Day, to celebrate Saint Valentine, who has become a martyr for having been killed for loving, basically. But there again, I'm going to ask you this question. I'm going to start with you now. When you think Valentine, when Valentine approaches, when February 14 approaches, when you look at how Valentine had been, things are changing every other day, and how it's celebrated today. What comes to your mind? What do you think? What do you think about the understanding the present generation of youth are having on Valentine?
Okay, thank you. I personally, maybe way back and now, personally, my opinion, I feel Valentine, yes, been celebrated over the years, but I feel it's something that should be the norm. Under normal circumstances, it should be love is every day. love is life. Love is everything. If you don't have love, you can't live. So I feel it should be something that is an everyday thing. But come to think of how we celebrate, okay, it's good we have a day. Let's say, okay, it's a day of love and we're celebrating love. But the way it used to be is not the way it is now. Nowadays, our youth get it all wrong. They feel it's just about, what I know of Valentine these days, in the recent times, is that somebody must be a victim. And they'll say it's a victim of love. Meanwhile, it's a victim of not love, maybe lust, infatuation, or some carelessness, and such a person may live for it for life, may have that regret for life. So it is not love. It is not love if it is hurtful. It is not love if it's regretful afterwards.
Thank you, ma'am. Pastor Ajayi, what's your opinion of what Valentine should really be? I mean, in addition to what your wife has said.
Thank you very much. What I see is, if you look at relationship or marriage, for me, I've come to know that there is no love in relationship or in marriage. Any relationship or any marriage is an empty box. Love is in people. If you don't have love, you can't give it.
Right.
You can fake it, you can make it up, just like the devil can stay a long time with a man or with a woman, with anybody, with love in quote. The evil agenda to execute, he will surely execute.
There.
But true love, God is love. And for me, my take on Valentine is that we see God in love so that we can enjoy peace, we can enjoy safety, we can enjoy wonders of love, as it has to do with advancement, as it has to do with development, and everybody's happy.
Thank you very much. Now, you've rightly both said that love shouldn't just be something we celebrate on a particular day.
Yeah.
It should be an everyday thing. It should be such as we give as much as we receive.
Yeah.
And of course, it should be based on our understanding of God, most importantly, because God himself is love. But now I look at the fact that love, besides being some emotion shared between those who probably are in a relationship, it should exceed that. It should be such as a value that we encourage in our families.
Yeah.
And that's why I like us to look at the family towards resuscitating and sustaining, strengthening family values. Today, ironically, some families would probably be at court to, end the whole thing in a divorce. Now, if you look at family values today, the family unit today, it should be such as a reflection, or the country should be such as it's a reflection of the individual family units.
Yeah, sure.
Now we're having the other thing, we're having it all opposite. And you look at the family, it looks like we're failing. Many families today probably are going through challenges. There is no family without its own challenge. I'd like to ask you, the family unit should be such as a mix for a better nation, a better individual, who becomes a better, responsible person. But in the midst of all of the needs that arise and the parents having to go about meet different needs, the children also are probably led to take care of themselves. I should ask you, how should the family today be strengthened? How can we look into strengthening the families in the face of all of the challenges that are peculiar, not just to Nigeria, not just to Africa, but of course, on the global scene?
Well, that's a big one, because I feel that family, I'll say first, family was God's idea. And anything that is God's will be fought. And so the family should know that we're under a serious attack, a spiritual one, that is a colossal attack. That's the foundation of it all. So now looking at everything happening, it's just building on that foundation, that there's a warfare attack to families. And so we cannot just fold our hands. Things will get busy, things will get tighter. But the family values must always be brought forward. That is why it is important, as a family in your own house, you teach your children what the standard of that family is. There's a standard, there's a discipline. Like in my family now, my kids know right from when they are still young, they are growing, but right from when they can be able to to me as their mother, and I say, we don't keep secrets in this family. You don't keep secrets. Whatever you are doing and you don't want the next person to know, then there's something wrong with that thing. So if one catches the other one doing something and it's kind of hiding, say you are keeping secrets, then there's something wrong with you. So and those are values you place on the family. There are standards, there are responsibilities, disciplines that you place on that family so that you can strengthen the stake of the family and then the society at large. So there's a lot to do, actually, a lot. Maybe I should hold it here first.
We'll keep that. We'll save that for much later in the course of the program. Pastor Ajayi, I mean, the familyism, such as, like your wife has said, is being fought against because it's got her there in the first instance. Now, what would be the responsibility of the family as a unit in itself towards ensuring that it does not subject itself to the possible attacks that there are and that there will be?
Yeah, thank you. But I look at the challenges we have first before really dealing with it. Look at the political scene. A lot of money is stolen from Nigeria, and those folks should be father to some children, and there should be some children to some parents, like that. It's just all terrible, And for me, as we could have it, say family or say marriage, marriages don't fail. People do. Whatever relationship you find yourself, or marriage itself, it always reveals who we are. So the values go back to individuals, how trained, how cultured, how mentored, how cooked, how equipped you are, your total being, spirit, soul, and body. It will all play out to tell of what kind of person you will eventually be or things you will eventually do. Growing up, I remember my parents, when we were going to school, my father would say in Yoruba, "Not your humanity one shade." That is, remember the son of who you are, and that's a lot. So that's a curb, to whatever I will have done in school, maybe join care guides or join cults, like that. It
brings a restraint.
Yeah, it brings a restraint or restriction to what you do. Now you look at who you are as an individual. So I'm looking at, just check out a stingy girl. I think you need to visit her mother.
Or probably a father.
So we have that particular picture. Now, for parents, a lot of work has to be done before any child eventually goes into the world. How much of work parents will have done to be able to help such a child. But today, you see, parents don't have time. A lot of young folks grow up from single parents, especially women. Look at the Bible, for instance. As much as we could have Joseph as the foster father of Jesus, God still made an arrangement that Jesus grew up within the ambit of a father
figure,
and a mother. A father figure and a mother figure, to have a balanced growth, and to make up for a total man. That is very, very important. And this generation, a lot of that is lacking. In fact, government is not helping matters. If you travel abroad, then you're having common law marriages and all that, freelance. There is no grip on what is important. So you find young people growing up as drug addicts, growing up as armed robbers, and it's just terrible because the gap is already created with the training of those young people. The values that are supposed to be inculcated into them, is lost. Look at my family. I check out what my children do, and based on that, one of them, with aggression, our mother said, "Oh, I have a meeting. I have some guests in my office. Please wait for me outside." And the guy just said, "I can't wait." For the first time, oh, did I pounce on him? You don't do that, never ever again. To talk to your mother like that, and he took dressing and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I won't do that again." Imagine such a child is left to chance. You know, if he could get away with me, then, I mean, he would do that in school. He would do that to his principal. He would do that to anybody, you know. And from that level, parents can cope. Parents can train. Parents can deal with such a child, you know, at that low level before it gets worse.
Thank you very much. Now we'll lead me to the next question, which is the fact that, I mean, parental guidance isn't just as is provided by physical parents. I mean, we're having, in quotes, virtual parental guardians, such as are provided by access to some internet sources. I mean, these days we have children who would rather visit Google to understand what they should do in particular instances rather than speak to their parents. Not even just parents who are busy as it were, but parents who they think will not understand them. Now I would ask you, how much relevance should the internet, because we really cannot absorb the internet of what the society has become today, how much relevance should this play in what the family becomes? And this is why I'm asking. I mean, sometimes we have parents who are not just exposed or conversant with the trend, and of course the children would expect that the parents will understand, and when they realize that you don't understand, they tend to the next L. So now I'm asking, what relevance, or to what extent do we allow the interference of the internet in how we raise a family, considering the fact that even parents these days get to use it and get to sometimes learn one or two things in what they do because of societal demands? Anybody can pick it up.
I will say that the internet is a necessary evil, not evil as such, because I use the internet I must live online for my work. But be that as it may, there's really no how you can stop a child, this generation, from accessing the net. That's where life is. In fact, my child will, if he has any assignment, he will go online. I had to tell him, I said, Google doesn't know everything. Some people put those things on Google. They may be right, they may be wrong. So why don't you do your own research and then you can compare if you need to, you know. But the belief these days is that it's internet, and really there's no way we can stop them except maybe you get them out of money, you know, the supply of money to get it, and even if you do, they will get it somehow. So the best thing I think is teaching your child or your family the fear of God from the beginning. Like I said, they won't always be with you. You won't always be there. What of when you're not there? What of when he's out on his own? And, you know, I mean, there's something you have done to the child that will bring a check on his spirit every time. You know, that's one thing I have learned to, because really as women you just get yourself on the high side and then you'll be high blood pressured, which is not necessary, because we are so given to, I mean, our children, and when they are not there, you don't know what they are doing, and you're like, you know, but it will not call for that. When we raise them in the way of God, I mean, you will have peace. You will have that kind of peace that God described, that the Word of God described. So I think it's by instilling in them from their youthful days, from the onset, the fear of God. What you do when nobody is there, that is what is called integrity. That is what is called you are standing out. You are standing for God. When nobody is looking at you, when you are just alone, what is your decision? What's the decision you will make when you are faced with pressure? So the fear of God is still the foundation because it's so the whole place is just so bad now that there's really no how you can keep a child from being exposed to things. I was surprised when my 7-year-old she was just telling me that. She said, how will I know if it's God's will? If somebody is proposing to me, I was like, as if I did not hear it. I've never had it in my life. 7-year-old girl saying, how will I know if it was God that wanted me to marry that person? That word was that proposed. And I said, God. So I did not do as if I was surprised. So I had to answer her, you know, somehow. But that is to say that these children know things we don't think they know. My second child, a boy, was telling his brother and was saying that, I can't believe so and so. They are big men of God. I can't believe they had sex before they, you know. And that one told me, you know, I've not actually come to terms with it, but he's 12 years old. He's supposed to have known what it is, and he knows. That's why he's saying it. He's just passing it as a comment. So that's to say they know what we think they do not know, and there's no how we can. I mean, it's like taking them out of this world. If you say they should not access the net, they should not access. It's like taking them out of this world, and it should not happen. So the thing is, instill the fear of God in them. What do you do when people are not there? What do you know is happening when you are there and nobody is there? I always tell them, God is there, and you always give accounts, whether now or later.
You want to add to what she said?
Yeah. For parents, we can't shy away from the current technological advancement. You know, we can't be naive, we can't be careless, we can just stand aloof. We can't. You know, we should match up with what is going on. Not just the internet, you know, even the media.
Yeah.
You know, they watch a lot of things, you know, and information fly all over the place. In fact, I was asking my kids, where did you learn that song from? I mean, I don't play such songs in my house, you know, but how did you get to know, you know? I mean, see, there is a lot going on. Now, it's a responsibility to be able to match up. I encourage every parent, you know, you should know what is going on, by all means. If you can, ask your friends, ask your kids themselves in a way to initiate communication. It's very, very important we do that, you know, because what is loaded on the internet and on the media is a lot. What is loaded there, content that are put there. And I thank God for this opportunity, because I feel more of this content should be put there also for them to feed on, you know. I mean, the rate at which terrible content are being uploaded, I mean, if you go to YouTube, you'll be shocked. You know, you find all kinds of promiscuous stuffs there, you know, and has a lot of viewership, you know, 10 million. I mean, it's alarming. So I wish that we could have such a content like that, positive, you know, safe, you know, educative there, so that our children can also leverage on that and see that also. Even though there are things they would love to look at, you know, so but it's important for us, you know, to be able to now work on something else, and that is the core of this interview. That is value. Teaching them accountability, like my wife just mentioned. Not just accountability, honesty, you know. Not just that, there's a lot there, you know. Teaching them patience, you know. I mean, just a child who's hearing about sex, and some of them, many of them, like today now, Valentine, the mission is to have sex by all means, you know, but you can wait. Anything can wait. Why don't you wait for your time? You know, I mean, the stream you're going to drink, I mean, it's not going away, you know. So, I mean, all of that, teaching them, that is very, very important. Like I said, did I wait to wake up this morning? Yes, I did. If I didn't wait to wake up, then I didn't sleep. You know, did I wait to dress up this morning? Yes, I did. If I didn't wait to dress up, I'd go out naked, and nobody would love such a thing, you know. So it's important that we teach them the values, even at the face of the internet, so they can make quality decisions. They can make safe decisions. They can say, oh, this is not good for me. Don't let me watch it. Oh, this is good for me. Let me watch it. So the value system must be registered. And I want to chip this in, you know, thinking about values, I just look at God also. I will take him out of the whole thing. I mean, God gave 10 commandments to the children of Israel, especially to help the value system, you know, and not to just leave them lawless. You know, that is very, very important, you know, and goes deep down. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not thou shalt not give a false accusation against your neighbor. You know, you won't bear false testimony against your neighbor. You won't covet things that belongs to your neighbor, maybe property or maybe wife, you know, goods. So all of these are critical. They need to learn it, you know. I mean, God took his time to release those laws, which form basically the entire judicial system all around the world. And we should drive it home, you know, so that our children understand it, how important it is. Look at Fulani herdsmen trouble. Look at Boko Haram. There's no value for life, you know, and not understanding. They are not taught, they are not trained, you know. It's important that we drive home these values one by one, they understand it. Something happened to me I will never forget. One day my mother sent me to buy food from a canteen. We didn't cook in the house, so and she gave me money. As I got there, a lot of people were there. They've already served me. I needed to pay, but there were a lot of people there, and I saw an escape route to go out of that place without paying. And I did escape. So as I escaped, I took those stuff back home. Nobody said anything, but I had money in my pocket. So I began to buy stuffs. So later my father called me and said, where did you get the money? Who gave you that? So, I lied. I told all kind of lies. Oh, he's my brother's friend. He's my this. And my father got to know that it was all lies. Oh, did he beat me that day? I will never know. Since that day, I will be the first person to pay. Even if they didn't ask for money. Occasions could be that they didn't even ask for money, but you needed to pay. So all of these values, they are critical, that we drive it home inside our children so that they can be great citizens in this nation.
Thank you. Now, which is why I would ask the both of you, what values would you say should be in families and, of course, will spill into the society? What values do we need to begin to restore? Do we need to begin to revive and, of course, strengthen to make for a stronger family unit and, of course, a better community, a better society?
Oh, well, there are so many of them. Like, I'll just say, and then maybe he'll come in.
Yeah.
Like, we do here, honesty is the best policy. And that's, of course, as much as it has to do with the Bible, it's just I call it a common sense thing. Honesty, just be honest. I tell my kids, one other thing is, whenever you have the opportunity to do something, the first time, do it the very right way.
The love quality.
Quality.
Do it first.
Quality.
Do it best the first
time.
There is respect and courtesy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Respect. There's no man that is created to bow to another man. The best you can do is honor them.
Honor them.
Like that. Some people want to do that, and they become the boss and just keep you down like that.
They play God.
You need to worship them. They play God. There is volunteer work. How much you can help other people. There is kindness to others. There is standing up for other people. There is good attitude and behavior to the opposite sex. The way you talk to people, especially for opposite sex, a lady is dressing up, you're still standing by. Leave the place.
Even if she does not ask you to.
That's important. It's terrible now with campus couples. It's just horrible like that. So there are many of them, like that. There are
Gratitude is another thing.
Gratitude, yeah.
Gratitude. Most of our youth these days, they don't even care. My child, if I buy him a recharge card, I expect him to call me back with that recharge and say thank you. After I said it once, he started to do it. I said that's it, and then you get more than that.
Yeah.
So and then we have a lot of character flaws around us, especially with the youth, and it's not they have become so unrecommendable. You can't recommend them to anybody to give them maybe employment or something, because they are not just reliable. They are just, and then they'll give you a bad name by the time you become their reference or something, or referee or guarantor. Yeah. So it's a lot we have to put back in place, and it starts from the family. Teaching them, right? When you say thank you, courtesy demands that you stand up for and held at the person, which doesn't happen. Once something happened just this past 1-2 days, a senior lecturer, a professor like that, she was walking and she was carrying bags, carrying things, and there was this student she just greeted her and walked past. Meanwhile, she was going to see her. She was actually waiting for her to come to drop her thesis or something. And then, the lecturer did not recognize her. She just knew that somebody was waiting for her. She didn't know she was the person. So by the time she took her things upstairs and she dropped on her table, the student knocked on her door and said, "Ma, good morning, ma, I've come to." She said she just sent her away. Did I not just pass by you? Those are things that are common sense. That's what I call them. Common sense. And they are no longer there.
The word of God says a good name is rather chosen than silver or gold. That's a great value for people to know who they are and they protect that name. I mean, for families, we have names like that, you know. If anything happens to any of our children, they will trace them back to us.
Exactly.
And our children should understand that you have something to protect, you know, for all life. You have something to protect, and that understanding, your name is a serious value, is a great value, is a great asset. You know, even if you don't have it, if you don't have money in your pocket, but you have a great name. I was asking myself, somebody wants to borrow money and they ask you to go bring guarantor. What is it that guarantor have and you don't have? You know, the guarantor has a good name, you know, has credibility. So you should check yourself. You should be a guarantor instead of being a debtor. You know, so that's important. It's value by itself. You know, we're looking at patriotism. You know, how many of our politicians are patriotic? You know, literally. So we need to teach our children, you know, that too. I mean, think of even in religious values, we should not undermine, you know, teaching our children to worship God, to pray to God. You know, I remember this joke. A young boy just told a mother, said, I wanted a bike for Christmas. And the mother said, I don't have money now, but you can pray to Jesus, and he can hear you. And the boy said, okay, that's a good idea. He knelt down. I said, Jesus, please, I need a bike. You know, and one day passed, no bike. Then he remembered that he was a bad boy. He knelt back and said, Jesus, please forgive me my sin. You know, I'll be a good boy. Please, I need a bike. You know, one day passed again. There was no bike. He knelt and I said, Jesus, I promise to be a good boy for the rest of my life. I need a bike for Christmas. You know, and another day passed. There was no bike. So this boy was going in front of a Catholic church and he saw the statue of Mary statue there. He looked to the right, looked to the left, didn't see anybody, opened the glass and carried the statue, put the statue in his room, and knelt there. I said, Jesus, if you ever want to see your mother again, you better give me my bike.
Then again, the same boy that promised to be a good boy went to steal. Really?
You know, so we're talking about
Kidnapped
values.
Jesus' mother.
you know, I mean, we have kidnappers now. So it's all that. So it's important. We teach them to pray. We teach them to worship. We teach them to trust God. Before somebody would steal, you know, it's a sign that you can't trust God. You know, we teach them hope. Things will always be like this. You know, sorrow may last for the night, but joy comes in the morning. You know, they need to know that we need to teach them the word of God, the truth of the word of God. Let them live their lives by that. That is the greatest asset that they have. These are serious values.
Absolutely.
That will help us.
Absolutely. Now, I want to ask you, I mean, these days, many times when we talk about Valentine, and you mentioned the fact that some people might be falling victim of love this time. I mean, maybe not love, maybe lust. Sometimes our youth and some younger children want some validation from some guy out there, or possibly the boy wanting some validation from the girl. And of course, it leads them to doing whatnot. And I looked and I realized that it's sometimes having not gotten that same validation from home. I mean, you don't do the right thing, or you probably do not meet up to the standard your parents have set. They just feel you're not like good for anything, and then they just want the acceptance, as it were, from outside. Which is why I want to ask the both of you. I mean, you're in the academics, you're a pastor, you're a gospel musician, you're doing all of that together, the both of you, and you're still able to create time for your children. I mean, that's one of the best you can actually do for them, letting them know that irrespective of how busy we can be, or how tired we are after having gone through all of our activities, we're still going to make our time for you. How do parents now, you know, sometimes long time ago, it used to be just a father who would go out to work, bring the money home. The moms had the time to stay back home, sometimes homeschooling, being there all the time for their children. But today, the both of them have to go out. Using your life, using your family, using your example as, an instance, how do parents, irrespective of all they need to do to make ends meet, create that time, create that bond with their children, such that they do not have to seek validation from just about anyone outside?
Oh, well, it takes some discipline, personal determination, and some hard work. You know, because, like I said before, I said we'll always get busy. It will get tighter. It's not going to get any better. Time will almost not be there. But it's something that you know that you will give account of. the word of God says that children are the heritage of God. They are God's, they are not yours. You are just an overseer. And the moment you know that you are going to give an account of, how you took care of, how you were able to lead him to the fulfillment of the realization, the knowing, and the fulfillment of God's purpose for him is something you will give account of. Then you will know that you just must give that time, no matter how tight. What we do is we are very busy people. Actually, sometimes I am like, the whole world is falling apart. But what we do is our weekends, especially Saturday mornings, we make it a point of duty. In fact, it's the children that will be like, Mommy, time. That's when we have the devotion that is, so we have devotion every morning, but because we are in a hurry like that, we don't get to do the very deep things, very deep teachings, but we, on a Saturday, is until whenever. So it's not, sometimes they'll be sleeping and sometimes they'll be like, I'm hungry. It's already 10 o'clock, it's already 11 o'clock, but we are there. And so we create time for that. And then aside that, we make sure that they are around us anywhere. It's just now that the first two are growing, they are growing older now that we can detach them. No matter how busy we have been, they were always around us. Always around us. If in church, if in office, where they were always around us. So that's a way of keeping that bonding. It's there. Then validating from home. There's really nothing you want to tell my child outside that he has not heard before. I don't. Is it that I love you? My son will come and, he's always there. My second son, always there, will hug me and then will kiss me, just peck me and then put his mouth on my forehead and say, Mommy, I love you, Mommy, I love you. He's always doing that. He's fond of that. Although he's a very jovial person, he's an outgoing one, The others don't actually give in to all of that.
I'll tell him,
so,
go and get your wife.
Sometimes he'll say, my baby, my baby, my baby. I say, who is your baby?
We understand that it's the way he treats mom that he will be able to treat his wife when he gets home.
Yeah.
And then I told them some days ago, I said, it was my husband that called me. They were in my office. My husband called, and then after he dropped, I said, my husband is the best. They looked at me and said, so why are you telling us? I said, so that you will know that he is the best. Okay. Now, yesterday, my husband said, my wife, you are the best. And then they started looking at themselves, like that. But they already have that, they have that thing in mind. For a boy to say that, I can't wash dishes in the house. My first child is a boy. Is a big boy will say, Mommy, I don't like that. The worst thing I like to do is to wash dishes, but I can't cook. I said, no. The other one will say, then you will turn your wife to a slave. I said, that is not it. So I had to, so that I said, so that your wife can be, your wife is not your slave. In our house, the kitchen is a common lobby. It's a common lobby. Anybody can just be there. It's not because it's hair or whatever. My husband washes the dishes. He does it. If I'm not there, and even if I'm there, sometimes he may want to just help out. And now that the kids are grown, they do it. If they are not doing it, he goes there and he does it. And then he will call them, they say, just get out of here. To let them know that if you are not going to do this thing, I can do it. It's not I can't do it, but there's a price to pay for it.
You want to tell us how you are able to build that bonding and, of course, give validation?
Yeah. God has helped us a little bit, and we trust Him for more. The bonding is great. Like, we gave our first two sons the opportunity to, okay, you can go home by yourselves. For me, I pick them up from school every day. Someone said, I'm tired, I'm not going to pick you today. And when I've done that, I will just check for the time they will close. Quickly leave my office and go to their school. And I'll tell them, I'm waiting for you at the park. Say, oh, Daddy, oh, I love you, you are great. Because that would be a surprise for them. And I did that on purpose. Because they'll be thinking, oh, how do we get to gate? How do we get into the transport and all that? But this one would be a surprise, So like that, bringing such a bonding that will really help, and invalidating them, we let them know we love them. I remember when we traveled last year to the States, and they wanted something so badly, said get us PS4 and all that. It was pretty difficult to get. I told them, I said, pray, trust God. I don't have that money now, but I think something will happen. and eventually something happened. You know, when we pray together on all issues about ourselves, about our lives, including, oh, I said, oh, I'm traveling, but I don't have the money for ticket right now. Can we agree together? You know, and before Jack, something happens. They said, oh, we have a testimony. So the same day I said, what about the test you are writing today? Can we pray over it? I said, Daddy, I made it. You know, so all of these literally, you know, helps out in to be able to validate them at the same time, create a strong bonding between us, and they understand where we're coming from, the God we worship, the one we serve, you know, and trying to make them imbibe that also, you know, taking a cue from our lifestyle, the results we have gotten, so that they also can take advantage of that to be a better.
Very beautiful. Just before we end the program, I find very appalling, I find very disturbing the rate at which couples decide to call it quits on themselves in marriages. I mean, you visit one of the courts around and you realize that there are at least not less than 3 marriages that have been, broken. I use the word broken, many of them say, and they give ridiculous reasons. I mean, very ridiculous. Look at the papers. There were like almost in every dailies, you find the story of a family saying, oh, he probably does that, she didn't do that. One I find really, really ridiculous. The husband saying because the wife wears trousers. I mean, really very unheard of excuses. And I am beginning to wonder. I mean, just before we kicked off the program, I was sharing a statement someone made as to the fact that parents are not wondering, you know, it used to be, when are you going to get married? I mean, you're in your late 20s, but now I hope you're going to stay married. I mean, look at your parents and I, we had to surmount to stay and be as we are today. So I would want you to talk about what needs to change. I mean, maybe before marriage, into marriage, what do couples need to begin to do differently to realize that? I mean, you signed up for this, and calling it quit, getting into somebody else's own, isn't going to be the best thing to do.
Well, there are so many things, but I'll just highlight one. That is the foundation. If God is not in any relationship, of course, it can't last. Our youth are making a lot of errors. They are getting into a lot of trouble these days because they really do not know God. They don't have a personal relationship with Him. Maybe they may know the God that their parents serve, or they might have heard about the God their parents serve, but they don't have a personal encounter. Personal relationship is not there. So when it's time to get married, I mean, nowadays the ladies, and they say, well, I've had something, baby mama. Say if it works, if it does not work, then we pack it. There's really they feel there's no big deal about marriage. We've seen people that have been married, what's the big deal? I mean, also, they really don't see anything that's a big deal. And they feel, so many of them are career ladies, and men that are well-to-do too, they feel, if I can just have a kid outside and then, I'm good. And that is because there is no God in that life. A life that, and such lives, they are always, they're deficient of something. They may be glamorous outside. They may look successful, as it were, maybe work, whatever, achievements, but there's a hole somewhere in their hearts that is a missing link. And it always brings dissatisfaction. When they are alone, they are able to face it. They weep to themselves. They may not be able to weep outside, but they know that there's something missing, a missing link in them. And that's where God alone can fit. And when God fits into that hole, that person becomes a perfect, a complete person. So getting into marriage with a complete person and another complete person makes the whole thing, heaven on earth. So there can be, we can't talk less of divorce at this time unless we bring God, who is the original, the author of marriage, into it.
I should ask you, perhaps, or peradventure, there is a couple who probably at the verge of breaking up the marriage, who did not get married with God in it. And think, okay, fine, they made that mistake at the start of it. Is there hope for them?
Yeah, there is hope for them. There's hope for them. If the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? Righteous can seek counsel. Just take away this ego, people are just You know, where you, by the time you decipher what caused it, everybody has something to say. Everybody has something to defend. You know, not minding. Let me use this one. Somebody wants to be in a relationship, and the motive behind it is for sex. And after sex, there's nothing else to offer. That's an empty life. So, I mean, marrying for different reasons. But at that point in time, there's a need for counseling. You know, by the time you are going through stops, before you pack it up, ask for direction, ask for help in right quarters. That's why we can't take God out of it. There are godly and Christian counselors who can help you out. You know, we are wearing a t-shirt that is called Marry Me.
Marry Me.
You know, I mean, we are working with a lot of young people. You know, another edition we hold in 1st of May this year, we're working with a lot of young people on this particular issue to be able to develop their character, you know. And before you get married, if you don't love your sibling, how can you love a stranger? I mean, knowing love before you get there. Some people love, oh, when I get married, I'll be able to get somebody to love me because I've not been affirmed, I've not been loved over time. But that's for a wrong reason, you know. Like I said before, I said, there is no love in marriage. Love is in people. If it's not in you, you can't give it. So you need to learn, how do you love yourself? How do you love your neighbor before you love your husband? It's so important. So, I mean, they should get help presently. And there's a generation, Proverbs says, that is wise in their own eyes. You know, this generation is wise. They don't want to, I mean, a lot of people disrespect their parents, you know. And Bible says, honor your father and your mother. It's even affecting life expectancy. You know, it's all complicated. But we should just retrace back our steps to the basic foundation of what it is. And that is the value. And you can't take God out of those values. God instituted the value. God instituted marriage. It's not man's idea. It's not, I'm old now, I want to get married. I have money now, I want to get married. I started work. No. It has to get back to God. And I feel that church has a lot of input in this matter, you know. How marriage counseling is properly organized, not just for people to come and be joined on the altar, but pastors will do a good job on counseling them appropriately. You know, think of people with terrible genotype, not matching ones, all of that are there. And people are causing themselves, I didn't know you are AS. You know, all of those stories should be out of place, so they are properly counseled. Look at marriage. Marriage is the only institution you're going to get certificate before you are admitted. You know, and that's a lot. I'm sure in Nigeria you can't, if you have not spent 10 years in medical school, you can't touch somebody's body, you know, and let alone consider marriage. So there's a lot. People are not being taught, people are not being prepared, people are not being equipped for it. We want to do marriage school and teach young people. Be there 5 months, be there 6 months, be there 9 months, even before you get married. But this time, we don't have time. We're getting ready for, I remember a wedding, photography cost 1.6 million. Photography alone. So think of what videography was. Think of the hall. Think of the food. This marriage didn't last 1 month. Yeah, everything came down, crumbled, you know. So, but, I mean, like I said, marriage doesn't fail. People do. Marriage reveals who they are, how tolerant, how patient, you know. Retrace the thing comes back to you.
To the individual.
You know, whatever you have to say that, oh, I'm calling it quit. It comes back to you. And you need to deal with yourself. Yeah. You need to judge yourself. You need to train yourself. You need to learn how to talk. You need to learn how to relate. What is it that you don't know that you need to know? It is economic wisdom. You need to retrace by yourself and get a counselor. Speak to your pastor, you know. And I feel this will help.
Thank you. So basically, Marry Me is an initiative.
It's an initiative, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Finally, they say marriage is a union of two forgiving forgivers who keep forgiving.
All right.
How do you handle your differences?
Differences. Well, I think for me, I have grown to, we've been married for...
This will be the 16th.
Okay, so people lost count. But you know, I've been, for me, I think differences, yes, we have differences. Especially when we first got married, you know, I am this kind of a very fast person. I think very fast. My husband would like to process things before he, concludes. So I felt, oh, you're slow, on the long run, if I take my decision and he takes his own, I'll find out that and I would have waited, So I have learned to, I've just learned to. Most is a man of God. I'm a woman of God too, but he's a man of God. He hears from God. I do too. But I have learned to, okay, this is my head. I must submit. So I will not, no matter how fast I feel I should have been, I take my time. After telling him, I feel like we should do this thing. He says, wait, I'll wait. Like he always say, anything can wait. Anything at all can wait. There's no emergency. So I've been able to buy wisdom, actually. Been able to, well, now I don't even actually see any difference. Sometimes I say, I really don't see it. Some people say, now we look alike. I say, okay. So.
Also, you want to share? Okay, she doesn't see any difference. I mean, how do you manage times when you need to do something and she probably thinks, we shouldn't do that. And I mean, so that people can learn, especially for those who need to begin to come to terms with their differences.
Yeah, differences shouldn't make serious issues, especially for Christian families. And that is the place of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
It's so important. That's one gift. Jesus said, I won't leave you comfortless. It is expedient for me to go. If I don't go, the Holy Spirit won't come. But this Holy Spirit is a teacher. He teaches us all things. He brings into our remembrance stuff that we have learned that we forgot. And he shows us things to come. We should leverage on that. It's economic wisdom. So, before I talk to my wife anyhow, there's a caution. And sometimes that I overreacted, I remember one day, I was in a hurry, bang the car, blah, blah, and she said, I didn't like it. I said, I'm sorry, and I apologized. And, we moved on. So there's a lot. Because marriage is not man's idea, it's God's idea. Let's give God, who is the owner, room. So differences, all of them we blend with time. You are hot and I'm cold. We have a blend and we can enjoy the warmth.
And you both be good all the way.
Yeah.
Finally, it's Valentine's Day, and of course, yes, sorry. And it's gonna be like people have a different understanding of how they should go about celebrating today. In your knowledge of 16 years of being together, and of course probably more than way before you got married, of course. Yeah. What should this day be about?
I suppose for me, I said it before that Valentine, I don't really do Valentine. I believe love is every day, and it's everyday thing. So, but for today, I would encourage, especially the youth. Today is not the day for experimentation. Today is not the day when you want exploitation, when you want affirmation from somebody that is lying through his teeth. Today is the day to be up and doing, stand out in wisdom, to know who is who and what is what, to read from the things that are said and the things that are left unsaid. Like today, too many guys will be talking to ladies, and there are things that they are leaving unsaid. Those are the things that are actually the thing. And the things they are saying are not those things. Mm-hmm. So, ladies are advised to wise up. Our ladies are so naive. I need them to wise up and get ready to accept love, the genuine love that Christ alone can give. Any other man cannot give it.
Thank you. And what should the men do?
Oh, thank you.
Just briefly.
I want to say that's biased a little bit. For me, as much as I think I love makeup, for me, it's fraud. Yeah, you're going to see a lot of makeup today, like that. And the real person is behind the makeup. Let's catch fun.
Let's be real.
Let's sit down. You can see a lady say, oh, she makes sense. But when you move closer talking, she doesn't have sense. Yeah. So it's important for you to, as much as you have fun, let's talk together. Let's share, let's talk about love. Let's talk about God, especially today, because God is love. I'm not trying to be pseudo-spiritual.
Oh, you should.
You know?
Don't be spiritual, not even
You
pseudo-spiritual.
know, but it's critical that we talk about the root of love,
Of love.
you know, so that we can benefit so much from it. At the end of the day, we are not breaking friends, but we are making friends, and we're making many friends. Some friends eventually may not end up in marriage, but will be very useful in the future.
Exactly.
It's important. So it's a great relationship, big one, that does not just end with today's Valentine, but I mean for all time to come.
Thank you very much. It's really been wonderful having you both on the program. Thank
honor.
you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you
very
for having
much.
us here.
And it's a what we call it a wrap on the program this morning. Thank you very much for watching. While you celebrate Valentine, while you decide whatever day you choose to celebrate love, let's not forget the one who loves the most. And of course, the Bible says, what greater love than this, that a man lays his life for his friend, for his neighbor. God has given that love. He is the one who can love much more than you could actually imagine you can be loved. Thank you for watching today. With love from God. My name is Olajuma Kebabalola. Do enjoy the rest of your day.